This is a tutorial on the MLSPIN CMA tool. The MLS CMA tool is a tool in MLSPIN for doing comparative market analyses. This particular tutorial is a simple introduction to how the tool works. I'll have a few other CMA related tutorials for more in-depth explanations on various aspects of doing a CMA, such as how to value adjustments for bathrooms, square footage, and so forth. So first, get over to MLSPIN. I'm starting us out in the Tools section here, and look for Comparative Market Analysis right here. It may be different on your page since this is the broker account, and there are a few extra features here. So, Comparative Market Analysis. The bottom here is whited out just for confidentiality purposes. A couple things to look at here. You have the new CMA, which is what you click to start a new CMA. And you have options and settings for the default price adjustments. I guess if to go through every tab, this is just to kind of set up how your report's going to look. Over here, it's setting up what sections of the CMA that will be printed out. I generally keep it really short to the regular report brief version for the subject property, a regular brief section for the description reports for the comparable properties, and the pricing adjustments. Sometimes I just print out this section right here, and then I supplement it with my own branding for the marketing report. Okay. And you can add your own resume, and that'll get incorporated into the CMA, sample introduction letter. Keep in mind, the traditional way to use this tool is for listing presentation, thus all these customizable fields. As you can see here, I really don't use anything except for the adjustments. But again, every market, every agent is different, so you got to find what fits you. Here are some of the defaults that I like to set up. Living area and the value is here. Parking spaces, which I value 30,000, which is kind of a default for the Cambridge area. Garage spaces 50, and so forth. Keep in mind you're going to want to customize these for almost every little micro neighborhood that you do an analysis for. So I'd say more than half the time I don't even use these numbers. Now to go to the CMA, we go back to my CMAs and click on New CMA. To start the CMA, you just put a name in there. Let's just do some basic stuff here. You do have to fill out the fields with the asterisks, so let's put some dummy fields in there. And here you can put in the address and input all the information manually. Or you can use a listing, an MLS number as a subject property. If you click on that, you get an MLS number request. Let's just pull up some random MLS numbers. So I'm going to pull up a new search page right here. And let's just pull up a random condo near Central Square in Cambridge, within 0.8 miles of the subway. And let's just do a cookie cutter kind of place. I'm going to set up 2 bedrooms and 1 bathroom. And for the last 6 months, you get 49. So for the subject property, let's just pick something that's not sold yet. Actives here. Yeah, how about 35 Bigelow Street? I'm copying the MLS number. I'm going back to the CMA page and putting that in. Make sure you don't have any tabs or blank spaces in there. That looks a little short. Let me take a look again. 1138. Okay. So we hit save. And now for comparable properties, we'll have a later training module to really go into how to do this. But for now, just to get a couple properties out there, I'm going to fill it in with some really basic searches here. I happen to know Bigelow is really close to Central Square, so we'll start with that. Count, let's see how many comes up. 6, that's a good number. So let's do a search now. Yeah, I'm really just going to pick some random ones here. Let's do Howard, Hancock, and Harvard Street. So you click on them, and then you hit Add. It says 3 comparables added. Okay. And get rid of that. Now you can go to price adjustments, and this is the meat of the CMA tool. It's basically kind of a spreadsheet inputting system. We have the default criteria that I've shown you inside my CMA options and settings. And you can keep adding other categories. For example, all these categories here. And you can see how it automatically filled things out. And it adds up all the adjustments this way to here, coming up with the adjusted sales price of comparable. One way to look at it is the buyer for comp number 1, which is the buyer for 15 Howard Street, paid $600,000 on June 2nd. What this analysis says is the 15 Howard buyer would be willing to pay $572 for 35 Bigelow, and so forth. 88 Hancock buyer would be willing to pay $629 for Bigelow, and 217 Harvard buyer would be willing to pay $683 for Bigelow. So we average what these 3 buyers would have been willing to do, and we come up with the indicated value by sales comparison approach right here. For purposes of this tutorial, this is very simplified, and many of the adjustments are slightly incorrect, and we haven't adjusted for a lot of other categories such as central air conditioning, laundry location, and we have not double checked for parking. Many times the MLS listings double count parking or don't count them properly, so you really got to go into every listing sheet to double check. One thing to keep in mind, let's say you add something like air conditioning, cooling. You do the drop down menu, you pick it, and you hit add. And then you can do your adjustments here. So Howard Street has central air, Bigelow does not, so we need to take it away. And again, we'll talk about actual numbers a little bit more in a later tutorial. And once you've put in your numbers and added the new criteria or item, you hit save and recalculate to see what happens. So here we got 623. Now moving on, because this is a simplified overview, we can go to the net sheet. And this is a place where agents can put in neighborhood specific values, market specific values for all these kinds of costs in order to try to get to a fairly close net sheet or a closing cost. And then finally, you can print and export the CMA report. You can choose any of these things to put in there. For now, I'll just do the pricing adjustment, and I usually hit PDF. And I'll open it up here. And you can see the report. It's basically the same thing we saw over here on the price adjustments tab, just in a PDF form. So again, pricing adjustments for property. You can see this is where the name would have gone. And you go down and it says the suggested sale price will be $623. So that's it for the overview. Check out the other tutorial modules for more in-depth explanations on a lot of the different dynamics we talked about here.